Recording.
Okay. So today we will finish to prove McLean strictness theorem. So I wanted to re-put the slide of last week and to go through quickly, because we only proved the theorem, only half of the theorem last week, and we need to have in mind some notion introduced in the beginning of the proof to finish the proof. So okay. So last week, yeah. So Maclaurin strictness theorem say that a monoidal category is monoidally equivalent to a strict monoidal category. So we said last time that a strict monoidal category is a monoidal category in which we said not last time, in which the associativity constraint is trivial and also the unique constraint is trivial. Okay. So we started the proof last time. So the way is to make a new category from, so we start from a monoidal category C, and we make a new category C prime here. And this category is made of a pair, so like that, where so F is an endofunctor, and C is a natural isomorphism, which deal with the multiplication on the right like that. And so this is isomorphism providing the isomorphism between this and this. And you have this diagram commute. Okay. So this is as a category C prime. So we said that last week. Okay. So the morphism between two objects of C prime is given by a natural isomorphism of C and this commuting diagram. Okay. The composition of morphism is given by vertical composition of natural transformation, as I explained here. And I also mentioned that the horizontal composition will be used. So the horizontal composition like that will be used for the tensor product of morphism. Oh. Okay. So the tensor product of object is just the composition of functor. And we need to say what is C here in the composition. So C is given by this composition here. So C is given by this isomorphism CXY, and this each CXY is a composition of that and that, like that. So each CXY can be written like that. Okay. So this we need to remember. We will reuse this formula in the end of the proof. So the tensor product of morphism is given by the horizontal composition of functor, like that, of natural transformation. Sorry. Okay, so this C prime is a strict monoidal category. Okay, and so now we started to prove the monoidal equivalence between C and C prime. The monoidal equivalence will be given by this map L, this functor L. To each object, it associates this couple. So the functor of tensoring on the left by X, and here this is the associativity constraint here. And the functor for a morphism is just given by, if you have a morphism F, the functor of that, just F tensor the identity of the entity of something. Okay. What should I say? Yeah. So we want to prove L is a monoidal equivalence. So as I said last week also, a functor is a monoidal equivalence if it checks these three properties: full, faithful, which correspond to surjective, injective, and essentially surjective on the object. So here, full, faithful is surjective, injective on the morphism, and essentially surjective is on the object. Okay. And so, yeah, so we can restart from here. So we will first prove that the functor is essentially surjective, which means that, so I will, okay. So now we can start as a, so I will take a new slide and we will continue the proof. Okay. 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 So let's see. Let us. Let us prove that the functor L is, let us first, is essentially surjective. Tu sais comment on fait pour mettre en plein écran, c'est le truc. Ah voilà. Merci. So we want to prove L is essentially surjective, full and faithful. Full and faithful. Okay. Let us first prove that it's essentially surjective. Okay. Okay. So the key, the ID, the key ID is f of y. So here it's not f, it's L. I put okay. No. So if you have a functor f of y, so you have a functor in the object. So each object is a couple f and c. So you have to take f of y. This is f of one tensor y by the convention. One tensor y is equal to y. And this is isomorphic to f of one tensor y by definition. So here you have C, by definition of FC, object of C prime. Yeah. So you see that any functor, any object here, you take any object here and it reduces to tensoring on the left by f of 1. So this is the key of the proof. You can reduce everything to functor tensoring on the left by something. The left tensoring functor. And we say last week we got the same idea from monoid. Okay. So this is the idea. So now let. Okay. Okay, so details. Now let provide details. So ID, and I should put like that in parentheses. Let provide details. Provide. What about the details? The details. Now all the details. Okay. Okay. So let us write the monoidal structure. So what is that? Let us write the diagram that C satisfy. So as I said, you have a couple, and C should satisfy some diagram. I just recalled in the previous slide. The C checked. So, but restricted to x equal 1. So let's write that. So you take x equal 1, so you have f1, or maybe I can just recall the full diagram, and then I will just replace x by 1. So you have f of x, y, z, tensor z. Here. Et f of x, y. So recall here, x equals 0, x equal 1. F of x, tensor y, z. Here we only apply the associativity constraint. Here we apply the C. So C x, y, tensor identity of z. So f of x tensor y, tensor z. And again, C of x tensor y, z. And you get f of x tensor y tensor z. And here you apply the associativity constraint inside the functor f. A, y, x, y, z. So you have f of x tensor y, z. And here you apply the isomorphism C, x, y, z. Okay. Now you take you take x equal 1. So you take x equal 1. So I will write maybe so x equal 1. So you can put 1 everywhere. So 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, here, here, here. You replace x by 1 everywhere. I hope it's not confusing. Maybe I should put that. So 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. One here. Look. Okay. Okay. And now we see by convention. By convention. So what we call the convention or every time we have A1 YZ equal identity, one tensor Z tensor. So one tensor Y tensor Z equal Y tensor Z equal one tensor. So we here we don't care about one. We don't need to put. We use a convention saying that when you tensorize by one or everything involving one, for example, as here for the associativity constraint, should be identity. So in the book, they mentioned this convention, but they did not use the convention for this proof. But to simplify the proof here, to make the proof more easier to understand, I choose to use a convention also in this proof. And you can have a look to the book if you want to see a proof without this convention. It doesn't matter. You just need to get the ID. Okay. So now, because we see by this convention, these two are now the same. This one and this one are the same. So we can remove one morphism here. This morphism can be removed, and we can get just instead of a pentagon here, we can get just a rectangle. So we get the following rectangle. And we will see that this rectangle is exactly what we need. So we get the following commuting rectangle. Okay. So I should also mention here f of ID is equals to ID because f is a functor. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So we get the following. rectangle. So you start here F1 tensor Y, tensor Z. Here, A F1 Y Z. F1 tensor Y tensor Z. C1 Y tensor Z. F Y tensor Z. Which is equal to F of 1 tensor Y tensor Z. And here C1Y tensor identity of Z. Fy tensor Z. Again, this is just F1 tensor Y tensor Z. Okay. And here C, Y, Z. So is it really what we get before? So so this yeah. So this is this. Okay. This is this. Okay, because we wrote here this is equal. So we use the convention. This was transformed into a single point here, and then so this is this. Again, we use a convention. So 1 tensor Y is Y here, and finally we get this here. So it's okay. So it's commuting. It's a commuting square. Okay. So we will use this commuting rectangle, commuting square. Yeah, commuting square, not commuting rectangle. Commuting square. Okay. Now you consider, so you consider the isomorphism C1Y, F1 tensor Y, which is equal to Fy by convention, again. And you take you take a functor. So we are proving what? Essentially surjective. So you can't. So wait. So you use, yeah, okay. Okay. So you take the functor f tilde such that y maps to f1 tensor y, and take a tilde y tensor z equal a f1, the isomorphism yz. And then you consider the natural isomorphism from this to this, fc given by, so F like that. So you use equals C1y. So as we say here, you take theta y equals C1y, this C1y here. So you get, so it's a natural isomorphism. Natural isomorphism. So theta is a natural isomorphism because theta y equals C1y and C equals Cxy is a natural isomorphism. So you deduce the fact that theta is a natural isomorphism from the fact that C is a natural isomorphism, and theta is just yeah, come from C like that. Okay. So here we started from that, and we made that. So we can recover that from that. We just need to prove that this theta is really a morphism between these two. It's a morphism in this category. And this will be a morphism because this will be exactly the diagram we get before. And this is just but so okay, but theta is really a morphism in this category because exactly because of this diagram. So let's call it like that. In my notes, I called that with 3 stars. So this diagram is exactly what we need to make theta a morphism of this category. So it's a morphism. Okay, so F theta but F tilde is equal to L of F1. Exactly, also. Exactly. So L is essentially surjective. This is what we wanted to prove. So we so let go through what I wrote. So we wanted to make L essentially surjective. L is the So, yeah. L is a functor. The functor. So you take f. You have f, and you make L. So the functor by multiply tensoring on the left by f of 1 here. So L is a functor tensoring on the left, and you take f. So you have f of 1, you tensor on the left by f of 1, and this is exactly this object you get. And we made a morphism from this object to this object. This proves that L is essentially surjective. Okay. So now it remains to prove that L is full and faithful. So I'm sorry, I was a bit confused here. Okay. Okay. So theta is an isomorphism. So it's a natural isomorphism. Okay. Sorry, I was a bit confused. So we started from f of fc, and we wanted to make an object which is isomorphic to this one, to f of c, and we wanted to make an object from L. And the object we make from L is that, and this is isomorphic to this, and this is the definition of essentially surjective. Okay. Sorry about the confusion. So this is essentially surjective. Now, now it remains to prove that L is full and faithful. Okay. Maybe I missed something. Oh, no, it's okay. It's okay. So, so we will first. So we start with full. Well, let's start with full. Let us start with full. Okay. So full means surjective on the morphism. So surjective on the set. So let f from x to x prime be no. So surjective. So let theta from L of x to L of X prime be a morphism of CT. And we want to make f from X to X prime such that L of F equal theta. Okay. So define F as follow. So you start from X. So this is equal to X tensor 1. You apply theta 1. So the morphism here. So morphism here in this category are natural transformation in C. So you can apply theta 1 here, and you get X prime tensor 1, which is equal to X prime. So by convention again. So in some sense, so up to convention, so the convention here, this convention, we have F equal theta 1. So you start from X, you get X prime. So you go through X tensor 1 and X prime tensor 1, but we say this is the same. So F equal theta 1. So you take F equal theta 1. Okay. So again, I simplify the proof from the book. I put the convention everywhere. Okay. So now, this is okay. Now it remains. We need to prove. So we need to prove. That theta z equal F tensor ID of z. So we made F from theta, just theta 1 up to convention, and then we can come back to theta. In fact, this is just F tensor identity. So if you have that, in other words, which this means that theta equal L of F, because recall that by definition L of F is equal to F tensor identity. And theta equal L of F, this is exactly what we want to prove. This is full. So full. Fullness. Full. This is what we want to prove. We can come back to made a function f such that L of F is theta. So it's surjective on the morphism. Okay, so we need to prove theta z equal f tensor ID. By definition, now, by definition of morphism, of the fact that theta is a morphism of the category C prime, for theta, we have the following diagram. Ok, bientôt la pause. Premier. J'ai été déconnecté, c'est-à-dire qu'il y a des raccourcis connectés, c'est bon. Ok, okay, so sorry, I was disconnected. So, okay, so I said, so it's almost the pose, so I will just write the morphism, the axiom for theta to be a morphism. So you have Z A X Y Z X tensor Y tensor Z. Here theta Y tensor identity of Z X prime tensor Y tensor Z. So I draw I write the diagram in general, but then we will, as before, we will apply this diagram to y to the specific case. Here, the specific case will be y equal 1. Tensor Z. Here, theta y tensor Z. So I recall briefly from the last week, this is exactly the diagram which commute for theta to be a morphism in this category. This is by definition. And, okay. The proof is a bit technical. Now take. So. Then take y equal 1. So you take y equal 1, you replace y by 1 everywhere. And you will get something we want. So we will make the pause now. Pause. So after the pause, we will take y equal 1. Okay. Let's restart. Ah, ça y est, je suis bloqué. Je suis bloqué, le truc est bloqué. J'arrive pas. Ok. So sorry, I have a technical problem. I can not write in my. Viens voir. Ah, mais non, parce qu'il était mal ici. Ça, c'est ça.
Non, c'est pas ça.
Si. Ok. Si, ça m'arrive souvent. Ok. So we have the commuting square from the fact that theta is a morphism in this category, and you apply to y equal 1. And if you take y equal 1 by convention, so you have y equal 1 by convention. So by convention. But so here you have identity. Here you can remove y everywhere because it is 1. So by convention, so what should I write? But by convention again and again, x1 z equal identity, x prime 1 z equal identity of something. So so you have theta 1. So you have if for y equal 1, you have that equal that, because this is identity here. So you have 1 tensor identity of z equal theta of 1 z, which is theta z, and this is f tensor identity of z. So theta z equal f tensor identity of z. Theta equal f of L, etc. So this is full okay. Full okay. It's okay. So L is full. Now it remains to prove it is faithful. Faithful. So it's okay for full. It's okay for L full. Let us now prove that L is faithful. Faithful. And the fact that L is faithful will not be the end of the proof, because then we need to prove that L is a monoidal function. So then we will need to make a monoidal structure. So this is not the last step. Okay. So faithful, this means injective on the, so faithful means injective on the offset. Injective on the offset. Okay. So if so you have L of f equal L of g for some morphism fg of c. We want to show f equals g. So, by definition of f of L, f tensor identity equal g tensor identity in particular f tensor id1 equal g tensor id1. But this is equal to f, this is equal to g by, again, by the convention. Convention, we so f equals g and L is faithful. Okay. So okay. So we already proved that L is essentially free, essentially surjective, full, faithful. So by previous result, the result we mentioned, L is an equivalence of category. L is an equivalence of category and an equivalence of category. So it's okay, it's an equivalence of category because equivalence of category is the same thing that essentially surjective, full, faithful. So this is proved. Now it remains, because the theorems say that it's monoidally equivalence. So it remains to prove that L is a monoidal functor. Monoidal functor. Okay. And this is technical. Okay. So monoidal functor. So the unit, so we need the unit of C, the unit of C prime. So unit the unit of C prime, C tilde, I wrote like that. This is 1 C tilde equal identity of C, identity of like that. This natural transformation. Okay. So we need to check that L map the unit of C to the unit of C prime. So first axiom. L of 1C is equal to, by definition, 1C tensor like that, multiplied by on the left, et 1C tac, tac, like that. And this is equal, again, by convention, this is equal just to identity of C, identity of tac, like that. As we said many times, if you have a 1 in an associativity constraint isomorphism, then this is identity. So this is the identity of with that and that here. And yeah, again, tensoring on the left by 1 is also considered to be the identity. Tensoring on the left by 1 is considered to do nothing, so identity. So the L maps the unit of C to the unit of C prime. So I wrote that on my note, but I don't remember why I wrote that. So maybe it will make sense. So that IDC X tensor Y. Maybe to make our, yeah. So this is X tensor Y. I did X tensor Y. X tensor Y. This is just a ridiculous detail that this is really an element. It is really an object of C tilde because of this. Yeah. Okay. So we checked the first axiom, the easiest one. Now, what about the second one? To be a monoidal functor. So, so now, monoidal functor. So let's show. So we want a map. We are looking for an isomorphism GXY from LX tensor LY to LX tensor Y. So we need to get such an isomorphism, and we want it to be natural in the sense that we want it to check the axiom of monoidal structure. So, but we need, so let us show that we can take so that A maps. So let's show that you take the inverse of the associativity constraint X, Y, and empty. I don't know how to call that. empty space here. So we need to show that map Lx tensor Ly to Lx tensor Y. Not exactly that. Not exactly that. Yeah. No, it should be okay. This is that. Okay. This is not clear. This is not clear for me, at least. This is not clear that this really map that to that. And I want to explain that. And then the commuting diagram will be just the application of the Pentagon equation, but the Pentagon diagram. But I want to clarify for you why this map that to that. So, okay. So, where is? So first, okay. First, what is Lx tensor Ly? So as we said, the tensor product of this object is given by the composition of functor. So this is, so by definition, this is just X tensor empty space Ax empty, not empty, but I don't know how to call that. Comment t'appelles ça quand tu mets une barre en bas, là, le 8, le truc là, sub, je sais pas comment on appelle ça en anglais. Tu sais, quand tu mets, c'est pas un tiret, mais c'est un truc plus bas quand tu écris. Ouais. D'accord. Anyway. Over scroll, non? Over machin. Over. Hein? Je sais pas. So I forgot how to call this symbol. Anyway, in English. So you just, so what is the tensor product of Lx and Ly? So Lx is that, Ly the same. Y tensor that, comma, et Y that. So we want to make the tensor product of that and that. Okay. So this is equal to, so the first, you compose the two functor. So this is X tensor something of Y tensor something. Something, I will call that something. I will call this symbol something. And now how the natural transformation compose. So what about here, in fact? And this is a bit technical. So what about this part? Okay, so what should we put here? So in general, we have the general notation. So here is the general notation. Is the general formula. And we will apply this formula in this case. the general formula. So this is F1 C2 composed with C1 F2 like that. Here, so the general formula. The general formula is here. Here we have F1 is tensor on the left by X. F2 is tensor on the left by Y, sorry. C1 C1 is AX something, and C2 is AY something. So you apply so F1, you get so X tensor something. So at the level of morphism, it's identity of X tensor something. So identity of X tensor something. So this is F1. C2 something here, this one will be A Y something here. So this is this. So put parenthesis, composed with so so the C1 will be A X something, but because you apply the functor F2 to the first something here, you have to change this one. So here you put Y tensor something corresponding to that. This corresponds to this. Okay. And so yeah. Okay. So what we get so then need to see that equal A inverse X, Y something from X tensor, Y tensor something. So this is what we wrote here. And the question mark, now we know the question mark is that, so this is what I call, I should not put question mark, maybe I should put like that. Tac, tac, tac. Okay, so this is equal to that. Okay. So we can draw it, you can write it here. So ID X tensor A, Y, something, composed with A, X, Y tensor, something. And this should map that object to as an isomorphism to X tensor Y tensor something. So this corresponds to the to this object here. So this is L. So this is equal to Lx tensor Ly. And X tensor tac Ax tensor Y something. And this is equal to Lx tensor Y. Okay. So we need to see that this map, so we need to see that this work for a map from this object to this object. So it work for this to this, because this is exactly the inverse of the associativity constraint here. And this is exact by definition. So we need to see that this is okay for that, from that to that. So how to write that? Okay, so it's okay for the first component. By first component, I mean that. What about the second component? The second component. Like that. Second component. And for the second component, it reduces to the pentagon. So I will not write the details, but yeah, I will see about the second component. It reduce to the pentagon axiom. So you take ZT for something. So you have something everywhere, and you take ZT for that. So you have X tensor Y tensor Z tensor T. And now you apply A, X, Y tensor Z, T. You get X tensor Y tensor Z, tensor T. And here you apply the identity of X tensor, so associativity constraint A, Y, Z, T, and you get X tensor Y tensor Z, T. Okay, so what we get here already, what we already get. So let's call the map from here to here alpha. This alpha is correspond to, is not, but correspond to that. So alpha. So it's not really alpha, but it corresponds to alpha. Correspond to alpha. So alpha, you see, you have this part. This part with something, you replace it by ZT, and this part, ZT. So this part, this piece of the pentagon axiom corresponds to alpha here. And now the other piece. So here. So here I will draw like that. Inverse X, Y, Z tensor identity of T. You get X tensor Y tensor Z tensor T. And then you apply X et X tensor Y ZT. And you get X tensor Y tensor Z tensor T. And this map, so this map correspond to beta, and beta is here, this one. You have the associativity constraint X tensor Y something here. This is exactly that here, where something is ZT. You get that, and you go from there to there. A inverse X, Y, Z tensor T. So this commute by pentagon axiom. And this is so maybe there is no point to put inverse. We just need to go to the other side like that. Okay. So this is a pentagon axiom. So this map, this is okay about the second component, alpha beta, because of the pentagon axiom. So I did not draw. I did not write the full details here, but this reduced to the pentagon axiom like that. So you have this pentagon axiom and you can make everything work. Okay. And finally, so you have so J X Y satisfy the monoidal structure axiom. So it satisfies monoidal structure axiom. So what I wrote here I did not prove it check. So this diagram do not prove it check the monoidal structure axiom. I just prove that this map is okay for going from alpha to beta. And now we need to prove it really satisfies really the monoidal structure axiom, but this is the same thing. In fact, you again proof again use the pentagon axiom. The pentagon axiom. Okay. So the proof use the pentagon axiom. Apply by the pentagon axiom. And yeah. Okay, so I hope we have finished the proof. So conclusion. L is an equivalence of category and a monoidal functor, monoidal and monoidal. It's a monoidal L is a monoidal equivalence of category. This is what we wanted to prove. We wanted to prove, so what is the statement? The statement is not there. So the MacLane strictness theorem. So we started from a monoidal category C. We made a strict monoidal category C prime, and we made the functor L. We prove that L is an equivalence of category. We prove that L is a monoidal functor. So L is a monoidal equivalence of category. So every monoidal functor is monoidally equivalent to a strict monoidal. Every monoidal category is monoidally equivalent to a strict monoidal category. Okay. So this is end of the proof. And this is the end of the proof of McLean strictness theorem. Ok. Ça il reste combien de minutes? À 3 minutes. Ah oui. So it remains only 3-4 minutes. Okay. So remark, this theorem is not trivial because a monoidal category is always monoidally equivalent to a strict one. It is okay, but not always isomorphic to a strict one. So there's a difference between equivalent and isomorphic. So the generic example, generic counter example of not being isomorphic, counter example, if C is not strict, then the strict one is called C tilde. It's not. Then C is equivalent to C tilde, but is not isomorphic to C tilde. So you just take a non-strict monoidal category, and you take the strictification, and it is monoidally equivalent to that, but not isomorphic. Okay. So, and you see, so we will see tomorrow. We'll start tomorrow to see a concrete example of non-strict category, and so the vec G omega with omega non-trivial. And then we will explain the application of McLean strictness theorem, the coherence theorem. So tomorrow we see some example and the coherence theorem. Okay, so let's stop here.